Welcome to the next biggest winner. I'm George Cholis, host of the show that helps you find your next big winning stock. As you can see, it's a special episode today. We're filming from Vancouver at the World Resource Investment Conference. Joining us today are three great companies: Northern Graphite, Otis Gold, and iPlayco Corporation. Joining us now is Greg Bowes of Northern Graphite. Northern Graphite recently announced a new resource estimate on its graphite project that included up to 70 million tons of graphite in the measured and indicated category. Greg, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, George.
Let's first talk about the graphite industry. 2012 caused quite a stir in the graphite space, and a lot of companies rushed into it. What's the status quo? What's the status of the industry today?
Sure. At this show a year ago, graphite was kind of the flavor du jour, as a lot of people caught on to the idea that China produces 70 or 80% of the world's graphite, and its production and exports are likely to decline in the future at a time that graphite demand is growing and a number of new uses like lithium-ion batteries have come along. That caused quite a stir, as you say, in the industry. Unfortunately, shortly after that, the Chinese economy slowed down. That came at a time when there's little or no economic growth in the U.S. and Europe. So we've seen a substantial drop in graphite prices. The good news, I guess, behind all that is that graphite prices have leveled out in the last 6 or 7 months. We think we're at the bottom. And when we do get into an economic recovery, the supply situation is going to become even more acute than it was in the last cycle.
Is it correct to assume that this recent downturn in pricing has probably made a lot of your smaller Johnny-come-lately graphite companies uneconomical, and it's maybe an advantage for Northern Graphite given the economics of what you've got?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the case with most commodities. It's a lot more difficult for the grassroots stories to attract funding. The economics of a lot of them are a lot more questionable. But from each one of these fads, if you want to call it that, whether it's lithium or rare earths or graphite, 2 or 3 substantial new companies were built, and that's what our objective is with Northern Graphite.
All right, so you've got this new resource estimate.
Yes.
And put into perspective what it means for people out there to have 69.8 million, but I'm going to round it to 70 million tons of graphite measured and indicated. How important is that to the company, and what should people out there take out of that?
Well, a couple factors. One of the major things that differentiates us from other graphite companies is we are the only one that's completed a bankable feasibility study, and we're in the advanced stages of permitting. So we've got a couple-year head start on most of them. However, the graphite price has come down a fair bit since we did that feasibility study. So what we did was we drilled a bunch more of our inferred resources, upgraded them to indicated. That will enable us to bring them into a revision to the bankable feasibility study, if you will. And the objective of that is to offset the decline in the graphite price with higher grades, lower costs, and also to demonstrate that this deposit can be expanded in the future. We're going to process about 1 million tons a year, so 70 million tons means a 70-year mine life. So obviously we can double production and still have a 30, 40-year mine. So the real key, though, is that bigger resource will enable us to sharpen up the economics, and the goal is to show that the economics are still very good despite the drop in the graphite price.
So then I see two timelines there. First is when you come out with the new bankable feasibility study.
Yes.
And then after that, assuming that looks really good,
yes.
And I'm assuming it is going to look pretty good.
Yeah.
How far away are you from actually even thinking about getting to the mining stage?
A lot closer than most people think. We hope to announce the approval of our mine closure plan, which is the major environmental permit that we need to operate or to start construction in Ontario.
Always one of the most important things in mining, those environmental approvals.
Absolutely, but we've been at it for 2 years, so again, we're much farther down the track than most companies. So as soon as we have that permit, subject to financing, we could start construction. So I'll give you the best case scenario. We start construction before the end of this year, and we're in production by the end of 2014.
How much money are you going to have to raise to start construction?
Just over $100 million.
It's not a massive number, right?
No, it's a doable number for a junior company. It sounds like a lot of money to you and I, but for the mining industry in general, it's not a large amount, and we've already signed an indicative term sheet with Caterpillar Finance for equipment financing plus participation in the debt facility. So we're already partway down the road.
That's great. So you're already there. Fine. Let's talk a little bit about location, because a lot of these projects are located in exotic locations around the world. A lot of political risk, distance risk. Where are you guys located? And I'm sure a lot of people at home are going to be happy to hear this.
2.5 hours drive from my house, and I live just outside of Ottawa. So the project is actually between Ottawa and North Bay, about 15 kilometers from the Trans-Canada Highway. So the other things that really differentiate us are close to infrastructure. It's a large flake, high purity deposit. It's very scalable, low mining processing costs, simple metallurgy. So we like to say mining and metallurgy 101. There's no big technical challenges, and it's right here in our backyard in Ontario. So hopefully we'll bring some jobs and economic development to the Upper Ottawa Valley.
And once we provide a Google map for everybody, I'm going to send everyone just a drive right up there and take a look at it, which is great to know that you can actually drive to it, get on the 401 and get there.
As long as they don't mind black flies, they're all welcome.
Craig, thanks for being here. Looking forward to having you back at the end of the show during the roundtable.
Pleasure, George.
We'll be right back with Craig Lindsay of Otis Gold. The next biggest winner is brought to you in part by